Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Aryantanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Ayaryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Uvajjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrika Varti Savanam. Ananta Ananta Bhava Bedati Bareli Bali Ananta Ananta Naya Nikshepe Vyakhyanniche Sakala Jagata Hita Karini Harini Mohotarini Bhavabdi Moksha Charini Pramaniche Upama Apyani Jene Tamara Kavite Vyartha Apavati Nijamati Mapai Me Maniche अहो राजा चंद्र बाळ ख्याल नथी पामता ए जिनेश्वर तणी वाणी जाणी तेने जाणी छे गुरुराज तणी वाणी जाणी तेने जाणी छे ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम श्री सुधात्माने नमः जय जिनेन्द्र today is on April 20th 2020 Monday, and we are continuing our class on Atmasiddhi Shastra. We started the class 2 weeks back, and we had gone through introductory remark, who is the writer of this Atmasiddhi Shastra, how Atmasiddhi Shastra is laid out, what are the circumstances that he wrote down and everything. So we went through all those things, and now we are pretty well based, established, and now we are ready that we are okay to start knowing about the Shastra right now. So that's where we are, and now we are going to go to nitty-gritty things into this Shastra. We'll start with the first stanza, and then we'll go deeper and deeper. Believe me, it's going to be one-way street. You are into it, and we'll be going gradually on the deeper water to experience the spirituality and the magnanimity of Srimadji and extraordinary writing skill and knowledge and experiencing of the soul substance. Everything combined together that he has written this Atmasiddhi with a tremendously easy, so easy that even a small kid can recite, small kids can understand. And when we go through those simple stanzas, they're not Sanskrit stanza or anything like Bhaktama and everything, then in which the tongue twister words are there and you just can't remember those things. Here are extreme simple language, and the words are very, very simple, but there's a deep, deep, deep meanings to those things. He knew that. He was aware of it. He did not do the dissection of those words. He simply put those words because Srimadji was aware that he had a very short life. And in the short life, he has to give as much and more to all of us. And we are extremely fortunate that we have those kind of things available. And as we start dwelling on these ideas, as we start thinking about these ideas, pondering on these ideas, then deeper meaning starts coming out, and that gives tremendous amount of respect towards Srimadji from our side. Without saying further thing, I'll bring the slides and then we'll just talk through that one. Yes, okay. Okay, so what we have is a Atmasiddhi Shastra, stanza 1 that we'll be beginning today. So what it is, there is something called Anubandha Chatushtay. The very first word comes Anubandha Chatushtay. It's not part of the Atmasiddhi, but this is something we'll be talking about. What does it mean? The creation of the scripture is in the beginning, in the introductory remark of the creation of the scripture, the four things that Indian philosophy applies. These four things at the beginning of the chapter. Four, that's why it's called Chatushtay. Chatushtay means group of four things. So four things have been explained. What are those four things? The beginning of the stanza, there'll be hymn of praise, subject matter will be described, the intention of the writer will be said, and with whose relationship this scripture has been written. So four things are always been given in any Indian scripture that you can read, and mainly Jain scripture will be very important because these four things will be described in one, two, or three beginning stanzas of the scripture. And that will tell us what is the scripture about, what's the author's intention, what's the subject matter, and with whose guidance he has written this scripture. So that becomes kind of very heavy, kind of, I mean, it gives a lot of weight to the scripture. So, hymn of praise, Manglacharan. Manglacharan is an integral part of any event that we can celebrate in Jainism. Any event, good or bad, any occasion, auspicious or inauspicious, whatever that occasion, Manglacharan is the first one. Then what is Manglacharan? Quite a few Indian names will be there, and we'll try to dissect it as much as possible to come to the real meaning of those words. Hymn of praise means Manglacharan. Manglacharan is two words, Mangal plus Acharan, means auspicious conduct. Mangal means auspicious, and Acharan means conduct. So auspicious conduct is a hymn of praise at the beginning of this scripture that will be there. What it means, the word Mangal has two meanings. First meaning, Mang plus Gal. Mang plus Gal. Mang means inauspiciousness. Gal means remover. One which removes the inauspiciousness, that is called Mangal. The other meaning will be Manga plus La. Manga means auspiciousness, and La means loyalty, means one which brings. So, one which brings auspiciousness is called Mangal. One which removes inauspiciousness is also called Mangal. Acharya Bhagwan writes Manglacharan, wishing that his writing of the scripture becomes uninterrupted and he can finish the writing of the scripture without any obstruction or any problems. That's kind of a wishing that he does. So Mangal means one which removes inauspiciousness and brings auspiciousness. That's called Mangal, and Acharan means conduct. So that kind of conduct of the writer when he's writing the scripture, that he wants to have auspiciousness come to him and inauspiciousness to stop coming, and that's a wish that he has it. So in Mangalacharan, actually one bows down to omniscient Lord. This is kind of a respect that we are showing. Yes, I am going to be the writer. That's what Acharya Bhagwan says, or enlightened enlightened person says that yes, I am going to write. I am the writer, but he gives credit to the omniscient Lord. He said that omniscient Lord, because of you, that I'm able to do this kind of work. So first thing, he bows down to omniscient Lord. That's kind of part of Mangalacharan. Author remembers his, her Almighty to have the scripture writing to be over without any hindrance. So that's kind of a request he's making in his mind that, oh Lord, I bow down to you. Make sure that this scripture gets finished uninterrupted. And that's what happens in Atmasiddhi Shastra. Skripalude Srimad Rajchandraji is writing that one, and he started writing an hour and a half non-stop. He wrote on 142 stanza. You mean he didn't have to refer anything anywhere? He didn't have to go through his notes or anything? Remember, when he's writing this kind of things, it's the essence of not this life's thinking, but even previous many lives thinking he has going on in his mind. So everything is all set in his mind. It just flows out in a rhythmic fashion. And he finishes 142 stanzas writing non-stop at one sitting. So that's called Mangalacharan. That the author is asking, author is respecting, bows down to all omniscient Lord and shows his respect, and he wishes for things to be over without any hindrance. So that's a Mangalacharan. Now, what's the subject matter? As I said, that always there's going to be subject matter described. It's like a preface. Previous time, there was no preface. And especially when you are writing poem, there is no preface or anything. Subject matter will be included in the first 2 or 3 stanza. That what am I going to talk about? Remember, scriptures are very large. If somebody asks me, Christian says Bible, Muslim says Quran, Hindu have Gita, what is the main scripture you have? And there is no answer. Why? Because there are infinite number of scriptures are there, and they all are important in their own way. So one cannot say, no, this is my main scripture. But still, if somebody lack of better words, somebody keeps on pushing, you can say Tattva Sutra, but that is going to be partial answer because scriptures are divided into 4 major categories. Jain scriptures are divided into 4 major categories. It's called Anuyog. This Anuyog, first sets of scriptures are called the storytelling scriptures. Kathanuyog, Vartanuyog, Prathamanuyog. Prathamanuyog means very first sets of scripture. There is stories of the Bhagwans are there. For example, yesterday when we were doing puja and we said that Parsnath Bhagwan puja. Parsnath Bhagwan is a sign of absolute forbearance. Kamat for 10 lives keeps on becoming angry and angrier and angrier. And on this side, Parsnath Bhagwan's soul becomes quieter and quieter and has increased amount of forbearance throughout. So when we read those kind of scripture, how Marubhuti and Kamat try to make life miserable for Marubhuti, then we learn the story, and from that story we said, oh, if Parsnath can have forbearance all the way up to 10 lives, you mean I can't have forbearance for a second or 2 or day or 2? So the very first set of scriptures, Prathamanu Yoga, storytelling scriptures, their deep meanings out there. So the beginning, the student, the new student, not the child student, but the new student who just wants to wet his feet in the spirituality, he starts with this kind of things. Srimadji wrote down Mokshmala at the age of 16 years. Think about 16-year kid writing a book. In the first few chapters, he wrote down about 12 contemplations, Bar Bhavana. And in each one, he wrote down story. And you just say, oh, it's very easy. I can read this. I can read this. Then you start reading, and then gradually he starts picking up the speed. And 108 chapters are there in each individual chapter. It will make you think what he wants to pass the message. 16-year-old kid. When the printer came to have the second edition to be printed, he said, Srimadji, do you want to change any mistake or anything? And he says, no, everything was written, was perfect. There is no word to be added or to be subtracted. That's it. Look at the confidence of this 16-year-old kid, because he had this knowledge from the previous lives. So age is a kind of not a factor over here. When he is only in 20s and 30s, his followers are in 60s and 70s. When he is a householder, his followers are monk. So over here, the subject matter. What's the subject? Oh, no. So the storytelling scripture, second scripture, sets of scriptures are called conduct-related scripture. What should be the conduct of the householder? What should the conduct of the monk and everything? Those are conduct-related scripture. And amazing amount of scriptures are there in that one, in that subgroup. Third scriptures are called Karnanuyog or mathematics, in which everything is kind of mathematics, like 2 + 2 is 4, there is no other answer. Here, the karma, how the karma comes to the soul, how long the karma gets stuck, when does the karma come in fruition, how does the karma get dissipated, what's the size of the universe, what's the size of the upper world, middle world, lower world, all those things will come in this mathematical scriptures. And the last one is called metaphysics. The hardcore philosophy is called Dravyanuyog. And that's where we are heading slowly in the scripture. Because it will just say, we are not going to say nothing but the soul. My talking will not go out of soul. My boundary of the talks will be the soul's limitations. And so, what subject matter is described in the scripture, that will be decided in first 1 or 2 or 3 stanza. And so I read 1, 2, 3 stanza, and then I said, it makes sense, it's interesting, let me go for it. Let me just get involved with this scripture. Or, no, this is not my cup of tea, it's too easy or too difficult and I'll get lost. Then you don't read that one. So here, subject matter, the author describes what's included in a given scripture. This gives a chance to reader to get the overview of a given scripture. Remember, we just went through 142 stanzas overview, and we said, yeah, I like it, and I'm going to go for it. So let me just dwell into this scripture. Now, purpose of writing the scripture. What's a prayojan? What's a purpose of writing the scripture? That's a third part out of the 4 sets of things for writing scripture skill. So this one says, what's the purpose of writing the scripture? So, what's the intention of the author? What is the purpose of writing? What is the fruition of reading such scripture? Let's say that I'm reading a storybook, just a simple storybook. Then I get pleasure out of it, transient pleasure. This scripture, if I read, what will be the fruition? It will give me the blissful state. It will give me experiencing of the soul and take me to the blissful state. So that will be the fruition of reading such scripture. Along with it, also mentions about nature of recipient group. Sometimes in this purpose of writing scripture, the author also will say, who are the recipient group? Who can be the eligible person to read such scripture? Many years back, but in early 90s, I think, I'd gone to San Francisco and there was a celebration of the Atmasiddhi's 100 year of celebration. I met one person, devotee person, and we were just talking. I said, can I start reading Vachanamrut, Srimaj's Vachanamrut? And he says, no, Kirit, you can't do that. You can't do that. So, yeah, but what's the reason? He said, that's kind of atom bomb. You won't be able to tolerate, you won't be able to keep in your hand. It is so intense, so deep. So he says, you have to become eligible first. Read this Mokshmala. Digest what he wants to say. 108 chapters are there. You understand all those things. Have some idea about what is a karma and what's a soul status and all those things. Once you have those base build-up occurs, then you can dwell, you can just jump into the scriptures because they are not an easy scripture to read. If we don't have base, you try to read this Vachanamrut. Two pages and I can assure you, you will end up with a headache or a total dislike because so many words are important and simple words but deep meanings, and if I don't understand the meaning, I'll get lost. So he also, the author will also say about nature of the recipient group. Sometimes above matters are simply hidden in the beginning of the scripture writing. Sometimes authors, the authors are authors. So they decide that they're poets and they decide how many things they want to include or how many things they don't want to include. It's up to them. Sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's expressed. So now relationship. What is relationship? How did I write this scripture? That's what author is trying to tell us. So he says, it shows the scripture matter is not simply the imagination of the author. It's just nothing that out of empty head I came out and just created the scripture. It shows that this devotion to the scripture means agam nu sevan. Means all the scriptures, how are they written? They have been created by the first disciple of the Tirthankar Bhagwan. And how did this first disciple created the scriptures? Because they are sitting in an assembly of the preaching, that's called Samosaram of the Tirthankar Bhagwan. And Tirthankar Bhagwan gives the discourses. And these first disciples, they decipher all the discourses and they create the scripture. So the author, whenever he writes, he has a devotion to the scripture. Now, one or two words about Tirthankar Bhagwan giving discourses. He doesn't speak like what we are talking right now. He doesn't speak a sentence. From the whole body of the Tirthankar Bhagwan, Omkar sound comes out. Om, that's it. This was a composite word. One layer of this Om sound is a composite word in which essence of whole philosophy is in that one word alone. Simply when we are in the Pachala class, we have been said that Om has a 5 letters. O, A, U, Ma. O means Aryan, means Tirthankar Bhagwan. Second, O is a Siddha, means a liberated soul. Third is A means Acharya Bhagwan. U is Upadhyay Parameshthi. And Ma is a Muni Maharaj. So, Om, when you keep together, it becomes Om. So, when you say Om word alone, it includes all 5 supreme personality. This is only for us to understand. But when Tirthankar Bhagwan gives that Om sound out from the whole body, it comes out. Then the first disciple Indrabuddhi Gautam, the first Gandhar, first disciple, there are 11 brothers. They decipher this sound and they understand that what's the meaning of this one, and they write down the scripture, which are called 12 canons and 14 sub chapters. Each canon, each scripture, very first one is Acharang Sutra. We are talking 12 original scriptures created by first disciple of Mahavir. 18,000 chapter. Each chapter is 5.1 million plus stanza. That's the first Acharang Sutra. Second is the Sutra Krutang Sutra, 36,000 chapter. Each one is 5.1 million plus stanzas. So it keeps on going like this for 12 scriptures. So you can imagine how many chapters and how many stanzas. They are created by first disciple of Bhagwan. And thereafter the scriptures are in the written form. And this one says the Acharya Bhagwan or the author, he has devotion to the scripture. Second thing, second thing will be logic. Once you understand the scriptures, then there is use of logic to understand the scripture and nature of the self. Yukti nu avalamban. What is this logic means? What? Logic means, you see on the hill, one sees the smoke coming out. One is seeing the smoke coming out of the hill, and you put the logic behind and say that means there's a fire there. You're not seeing the fire, but you put logic because you have seen that fire, smoke in the kitchen when mommy was cooking, and at that time there was a presence of fire also. So you know that. So from this deduction, from this memory, you say that I see the smoke on the mountain. That means there's a fire present. That's called logic. Whenever somewhere I can see a knowledge, that means living being has to be there. Or whenever we see somebody having rag and dvesh, inclination of attachment and aversion, that means soul has to be present. I don't see soul. One of my good friends from New York State, he will say, Kirit, I won't believe, I respect you, but I won't understand until you show me the soul on my palm. How can I show it to him? I said, use the logic. He said, I don't care. I don't want to use logic. I said, wherever there is rag and dvesh, that means the soul is present. You have rag and dvesh, means you are the soul. He won't understand, but that is a different story. So logic to be used. So that means if I'm anger, deceit, ego, greed type of situation within me, that means soul is present behind. That kind of a thing is called yukti nu avalamban, or use of logic. Third one, it also shows relationship with the previous learned saint in the lineage of Tirthankar. Mahavir is not here right now, but Mahavir's followers are there. Those Acharya, Mahavir's Acharya followers are there. And I remember them and I follow them, means parapar guru no updesh. They have given discourses and I believe that, I understand that, I digest it and all the things. Remember these acharyas, these monks, these naked monks, that they have nothing on their hand, nothing to hide. They will give the discourses to me, and they have no other inclination or intention from me to get it, because they have already given up all the possessions, material possessions. Simply they will give me the Mahavir's message. So that will be important. And last one, it also reflects the author having the self experiencing the subject matter, means swa samvedan. He has experienced the self. So all these things, devotion to the scripture, logic, listening to the scripture or messages of the Acharya, and his own experiencing of the self. And that means now that he is writing scripture, means all of the above increases value of the scripture. Means weight of the scripture becomes so much more now. It is not like empty bullet. It is loaded with materials. Acharya Bhagwan has written all these things. Learned saints have written all these things. From their experience, they have said all these things. If we follow, it's going to be good for us. If we don't follow, he doesn't care. He's on his path for liberation. He just wants us to go with him. If we want to do the act, it's up to us. Not to do, it's up to us. You're given two choices. Either you do the right thing and end up going for eternal, peaceful, blissful state of liberation. If you don't do the right thing, you go to the other pathway, eternal, infinite misery of nigod, lowest form of life. Two choices only. In between, you'll get a human and animal life and plant life and infernal life and celestial life. Those are very teeny tiny, small, teeny tiny things are there. Infinite blissful or misery is awaiting for us. Which way I want to go? I have to decide. Not three choices, only two choices. You decide, I decide what's the best for me. This human life, 5 sense sentient being, and having interest in the Jain principles, having inquisitiveness, having interest, having learned, I want to really zeal to learn the things and to experience my soul. All these things are positive remarks for us. We all are fortunate that we are on this path, that not today, then tomorrow, not tomorrow, then next life, we will get Samyak Darshan and will be on the pathway to liberation. So here, as having said, so this slide is on the base of Samisa stanza 5, in which Kunkunacharya Dev says, what is my relationship when I'm writing scripture? And that applies to everybody. Scripture creation matter. Sometimes author mention all 4 things, means all Anuban Chatustai he can write down. Sometimes matter could be between 1 to 4 things only. Out of 4 things, he may say 1, 2, 3, or 4. Sometimes it's hidden matter. You may not see the things. You may not see the Anuban Chatustai, but you may see the matter is hidden. Sometimes above matters are present in first 2-3 stanzas. It's up to the author's decision. In Atmasiddhi, above matters are included in first 2 stanzas. So now we are going to check with the first stanza and see what it is. Ji swarupa samaja vina pamyo dukha anand samajavyo te pada namu Sri Sadguru Bhagavan. 2 lines. Simple. Extremely easy. Very easy to remember. It doesn't make difference what language you speak. It's easy to remember. There are no crooked words or anything. Yes, you want to become confused? I can say start reading and remembering Bhaktamar Stotra, for example. Bhaktamara pranatamauli mani prabhana mudyotakam dalita papatamo vitanam samyak pranam yajinapada yugam yugada valam balam bhojale patatajanana. Go through it. Tongue twister. It's difficult to remember, but of course there are amazing amount of bhavs, inclinations are included there. But here, Srimad-ji's language is extremely simple, very basic. That means I would like to give the challenge to the group here. 142 stanzas, simple. You can read, you can remember this first stanza even by looking right now, and you are reciting that one almost every week or every day. I want you to remember all 142 stanzas by heart. You guys are cream of the crop. You guys are intelligent. You guys are smart. You have achieved your success in your whatever field you are working right now. This is nothing. It is not a challenge for you. It's a peanut for you. But please make a decision in your mind. Every week I will do 7 to 10 stanza. Well, it's too much. I'll do 5 stanza. When you go to work, nothing is happening. Keep your Xerox copy. Keep on reciting. By the time you reach your destination, you will know 1 stanza. By the time you come back home, you can recite the same stanza. Next day, 2nd stanza, 3rd stanza. So at least you can do that way 5 to 7 stanza a day. Decide in your mind that I will do that many stanza. So 142 stanza, it won't take that much long time to understand and recite and remember. So please do that. That's the least you can do. That will be your journey to the path to this self-realization. This is the first step you have to do it. Okay. So now that we know the first stanza, remember stanza is extremely simple. We'll go through words and everything, but the deep meaning is there. It's going to go for a few classes just to finish first stanza alone. Amazing amount of messages he has given in extreme simple form of stanza right now. Let's see what it says. Je Sarup Samjana Pamyo Dukh Anant means, without knowing my true nature, I suffered immense misery since time infinite in the past. Not a difficult sentence. Samajavete Padanamu Sri Sadguru Bhagavan. I bow down to my learned teacher who showed me the path to get out of this misery. This is the first stanza. That's all it says. No, that's not it says. It has an amazing amount of thing Srimadji has put in this stanza, and we'll dissect each and every word and try to understand what he meant for these things. He wrote down at age 34 years, he just walked out of the life and everything, and he left everything for us. Now we have to dissect it and we have to understand it, what he meant to say, what was there in his heart. Samaisar was written 2000 years back by Acharya Kundakunda Acharya Dev. 1000 years after Amritchandra Acharya Dev, another Acharya came. He analyzed those stanza, 415 stanza, and he gave critiques to those stanza in Sanskrit language. An amazingly beautiful Sanskrit, the best quality Sanskrit anybody wants to learn. You have to learn. You have to read this Amritchandra Acharya Dev's Sanskritika, Sanskrit explanation of the stanzas. So it appeared as if Amritchandra Acharya Dev entered into the heart of Kunkuna Acharya Dev, having 1000 years difference between those two. And he just squeezes out each and every stanza and gives juice to us. Similarly, over here, we have to go through 2 lines. Je Sarup Samjana Pamya Dukhanan, Samjavita Padramusi Sadguru Bhagavan. Simple stanza, simple, deep meaning. So let's see what it tries to say here. First thing, hymn of praise and subject matter in Atmasiddhi. Does it have these things in this first stanza alone? Well, let's try to read it. Sri Sadguru Bhagwant word came. Sri Sadguru Bhagwant, right? What it means? The learned, enlightened teacher is being addressed as my Bhagwan. He is my Guru. He is my Bhagwan. He is my cheerleader. He is my pathfinder. He is taking me to the new path. And that's why he is superior to me. I respect him. I respect his knowledge and dedication. And I just said, you are my Bhagwan. Because I found out that how much more I can learn from him. Student is bowing down to his beloved true teacher. Sri Sadguru Bhagavan, hymn of praise. When he's just praising the Sadguru, means he's also praising the omniscient Lord that we'll be seeing later on. Then, so hymn of praise is there by having he bowing down to the beloved true teacher. Then there is subject matter in Atmasiddhi. There are 6 tenets of the subject matters are there. They are soul is there, number 1. Soul is eternal, number 2. Soul is a doer, number 3. Soul is an enjoyer, number 4. Liberation does exist, number 5. And there's a path to the liberation, 6. All these 6 tenets are represented in this extremely simplified stanza. Let's see how it works out. Where are those 6 tenets in this stanza? Soul is there and has infinite misery, soul's existence. Means it says, Je Swarupa Samjana Pamyo Dukh Anant. Without knowing my true nature, I really had a miserable life since time infinite. I means who? Who is I? Is this physical body is I? This physical body name is Kirit, that is I. The material karma associated with me, that is called I. I had the rag and waste, anger, deceit, ego, greed within me, that is called I. No, I is way beyond. I is an eternal pure substance which is present within me. That is called I. Means soul is there, means I am there. That's why this very first tenet, Atma Che, I am there. Because I have consciousness. Consciousness is a undisputed characteristics of a soul. Do I have consciousness? Do I have feelings? Do I have knowledge? Do I have capacity to think and everything? Then I am the soul. So soul is there. Je Swarup Samjana Pamyo Dukha Anant. Word I is hidden there. So that means soul is there. That's what he establishes. Second thing, the word infinite. Je Swarup Samjana Pamyo Dukha Anant. The Anant means infinite. The word infinite says that I suffered for time infinite. That means my existence is eternal. That means soul does exist, soul has an eternal existence. Atma Che, Atma Nitya Che. Okay, let's progress further. Soul is a doer. How does the Atma Karta Che? Soul is a doer. How can we establish that fact? It says, Je Swarup Samjana Pamyo Dukha Anant. Je Swarup Samjavina Pamyo Dukha Anant. Without knowing my true state, I suffered a lot. Means, the doership over here means soul end up doing wrong kind of personal efforts. His, his faith is directed to the alien objects of the universe. So the new words are coming. Don't get scared. They will be getting repeated again and again. Alien object means par padarth. Alien object means separate from myself. This guy, this physical body is separate from me. I am the soul, eternal soul substance, and this is simply association, this physical body. So I, as a soul, thinks that this is my body. What's your name? My name is Kirit. Wait. Kirit is a name given at the time of a birth when the soul and body came in existence. That means when I say Kirit, that means soul and me are same. Soul and body are same. If that is true, upon death, what will be saying? He was here, he died. He was here. His name will be used in a past tense because soul left the body. So all the time, since time infinite, I keep on having my attention focused to alien objects, and the closest alien object that I can perceive is my physical body. So I am the physical body. You know what? I'm not going to the exercises right now, so my weight is going up. My weight is going up. My means what? The soul's weight is going up? No. Soul is weightless. Physical body keeps on growing, and I just said my weight is going up. So I have a unity with the physical body, and that is the reason I'm suffering since time infinite. My action is directed towards physical body. I want to sleep, I want to eat, I want to run, I want to read, I want to do whatever activity. All bodily activity are my activity. That's what I believe. Think about every activity that we perform since morning till night. Everything is body related. That means I did wrong personal effort, and as a result, I felt misery. Doership. Soul has a doership, wrong doership, so wrong fruition. Right doership, right fruition. Right doership means I am the soul and body is separate from me. Yes, body will ask for the food, body will ask for the sleep and everything. Yeah, that's there. But Mahavir, Parsnath, let's say Parsnath story that we talked yesterday. Parsnath, when Muni Parsnath is in his meditative state, and then Sangam Dev, Sangam means that kamat. The kamat is a, one second, kamat is a crooked guy, and he's become a heavenly angel, and he's throwing rocks and fire and torrential rain and everything. Parsnath, his doership from the body is separate. He says, I'm the pure soul, and he's in his meditative thing engrossed. So he doesn't feel anything happening to the physical body. So when his doership is right, my doership is towards the body. My doership is wrong. So right doership, wrong doership, but who is doing? Soul is doing the doership. So Atma Kartache. Now, we will see these things extreme. Out of all the 6 things that we'll be seeing, this guy is going to take the maximum time when we are trying to, when we're going through understanding. This guy will take the longest time. This third tenet will be the most important tenets. For that thing, Samaisar has a stanza 68 to 144. Srimadji also wrote down quite a few stanza, and it will be extremely important and very interesting when we go through those kind of things. Next one is soul is an enjoyer. I go to work for 2 weeks and I expect a paycheck in the fruition as a result of my work. When I as a soul does a right thing, like Parshnath, Muni Parshnath getting engrossed within, then the fruition, the enjoyment will be super sensuous bliss. But if I'm doing the wrong doership work, body is mine, body related activity, when I am doing it, I as a soul is doing it, quote unquote, that means the resultant fruition will be misery, perplexity. We just get the idea about the happiness, but transient happiness, which is actually fallacy of happiness that we get it. I have a big house, I have a big car, I have a good business, I have a nice family, I have kids are doing right thing. These are all transient things. So soul is an enjoyer of its own action. If this action is a right action, soul will have a blissful state. If a wrong action, soul will have a perplexity. So that's a soul is an enjoyer. That when he says. So, Je Swarup Samjana Pamyo Dukhanan. Je Swarup Samjavina Pamyo Dukha Anand. I felt misery because I didn't realize the true nature of the soul. That's why I felt misery. That's a soul is an enjoyer. Soul is a enjoyer, so-called enjoyer, or soul suffers the fruition. Let's put it that way. Then comes liberation is there. Where does it say liberation is there? Je Swarupa Samajavina Pamyo Dukha Anand Samajavyote Padanamu. I was on the wrong path all throughout. And now, Acharya Bhagwan came, learned saint came, my enlightened guru came, and he showed me the path. So, Je Swarup Samjana Pamya Dukhanan Samajavyu means the guru explained to me. That's why I am now from intense misery state, I'm to the intense blissful state. Remember two gatis only, Nigod or the moksha. Nigod is an intense misery and moksha is an intense blissful state. That's it. So if I get out from this misery, I'll end up with the eternal blissful state. Srimadji says, moksha karo nija suddhata. Moksha means having purity generated in the soul substance is called purity. It's called the moksha. While we are on this subject, let me ask a question and you can unmute and answer me. Did you ever go to, you as a soul had ever gone to Siddhashila or not? Siddhashila, where the liberated soul, Siddha Bhagwan, resides. Did we as a soul ever went there? Yes or no? If yes, then why? How? No, then no. How? Please unmute and let me know.
Yes.
How did you go there? The Siddhashila is meant for Siddha Bhagwan.
Nigotri hai.
Good, very nice. Because what it is, that the space is not important. Siddhashila is there. The Adobe of Siddha is there. But the whole entire Jain universe is full of Nigod living beings, lowest form of life living being. And I had become infinite times lowest form of life. And so I had gone to Siddhashila and stayed there. For example, for you or me, saying the White House is a big place, it's not meant for me. But suppose I'm a servant and I'm just doing the cleaning of the floor and everything. I may be working in White House. President is working and I'm working too. This Indian people have always say, you American guys, you never tell us what kind of work you do. When we just say, what do you do? I'm doing job. They push us. What kind of job? What kind of, actually what you do, and then we have to say. But here, so I'm working in White House. I could be working in White House, but I could be this servant. I could be sweeper. I could be gardener. I could be bathroom cleaner. Similarly here, Siddhishila, Siddha Bhagwan is there, and Nigod living beings are also there. So going to Siddhishila is not a big deal, but getting the purity within, that is called moksha. Moksha means moksha ka nija suddhata, to have purity within me is called moksha. Then last one is the path to the liberation will be shown by the true enlightened teacher, because in this stanza, what do we say? Je swarupa samaja vina pamyo dukha anant. Now, samaja vyu te padanamu Sri Sadguru Bhagavan. Sri Sadguru Bhagavan, you have shown me the pathway. How can I get liberated? You showed me the pathway to get out of this intense misery. That means path to liberation is there. That's what you have shown me. This way, all the 6 tenets are present in this first stanza. It's amazing how tactfully, how simple word, no complex word, and he tells us, hey, guys, I'm going to tell you about 6 tenets in this whole 142 stanza. Get ready for it. So this is what he's telling us, all these things. So here we are. We will just talk more about it, 6 tenets and everything, more on this first stanza alone. We will dissect each and every word. Right now, we just saw we just went through the overview about the Anuban Chatushtay and how 6 tenets are included. But next week onwards, we'll be going to each and every word we'll dissect, and each word itself is a big subject. For example, word anant, infinite. Oh, one can keep on talking forever and ever and ever and not be finished. So many simple words with deep meaning he has given to us. So here we'll stop. Any questions, then we'll answer. Any questions so far? You can unmute yourself. Yes, okay. I think I put everybody to sleep, I suppose. Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll do the closing, okay? Je swarup samaja vina pamyo dukhanam samajavyo te padanamo Sri Sadguru Bhagavan Param Purusha Prabhu Sadguru Param Jnana Sukhan Jene apyo bhanani tene sada pranam Deha chata jeni dasha varte dehati Eganina Charanama Vandana Agani हे परम कृपाल देव जन्म जरा मरण आदि सर्व दुखों अत्यंत सही कराओ योग वितराग कृष्ण मोह मान आप सिमरन कृपा करी मना आपो ते अनुपानो प्रतिकावा हूँ सर्वथा समझो वही आप सिमत कहीं पर मत सर्वथा निपुचो जीती हूँ मन वचन कान एकाग्रता थी આપના ચરણ નમસ્કાર કરું છું આપની પરમ ભક્તિ અને વિતરાગ કૃષ્ણ હું ધર્મની ઉપાસના મારા હૃદય વિશે ભાવપૂર્વક અખંડ જાગ્રત રહો એટલું જ માગું છું તે સફળતા ઓમ શાંતિ 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 9 times નમકા મંત્ર Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Thank you.
Jai Jinendra. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Jai Jinendra, thank you.
Jai Jinendra, thank you.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.